full stop. Can't believe I live in your thoughts. I think about you all the time, morning, evening, and midnight. Such a wonderful delight. Forgo, give up everything that I own. Yeah, I'd give it all up now, just to be with you somehow. Unexpected love was found. You're the rose in a garden, and it shows if I'm honest. You're the leaves in mid-August, and I've come out here to say that I love you. Ooh, you, so slow. Hold you in my arms, won't let go. The world around could pass us by, a thunderstorm, a lightning strike, as we hold each other tight. You're the rose in a garden, and it shows if I'm honest. You're the leaves in mid-August, and I've come out here to say that I love you. Ooh, you, You're the rose in a garden, and it shows if I'm honest. You're the leaves in mid-August, and I've come out here to say,
Hello, how is everyone tonight? Happy Tuesday. It's our Tuesday. I don't even have words to express how much joy it brings me that you all are like saying hi to each other too. And Lillian, I'm always waving back. Like I feel like it's the same. And then I'm like, oh right, there's a camera. You know. I live in fictional worlds a lot of time, as many of us do, I think. So it's pretty easy to just be like, oh, we're all just hanging out in Ashland together right now. How is everyone? Happy Tuesday. That was Cody Francis, and we have a special bonus Cody Francis. Ooh, how's that for a little teaser for part of our night tonight? And I want to know if anyone else is a Swiftie. Has anyone else been obsessed with the Red re-release? Tell me now. Sandy, you're here after teaching. Oh, Janita, your husband's not doing well. Oh, sending you all of my love and well wishes. I'm glad that you can be here. Hopefully you can take gentle care of yourself if you're caring for your husband at the same time. That's always such a hard process if you are also caregiving and trying to find that balance of caregiving for yourself. So sending you all my love. Please be gentle with your heart. I am obsessed with Taylor. I have loved Taylor Swift unabashedly, despite the fact that I am in my late 40s. I'm definitely not her target audience, probably, for decades, for as long as she's been singing. And Love Story is the theme song that I use when I'm writing the Bakeshop Mysteries, because, you know, hello, it's Romeo and Juliet, it's perfect, there's so much love and angst and everything in her music. So I've had a lot of fun. I think the tech guy now knows all of the words to songs. I mean, obviously you knew these already, but now you're officially a Swiftie.
I like Taylor Swift, sure. You know what my favorite song is?
Yeah.
Christmas Tree Farm.
Oh, come on. I knew you would. would say that.
See? Yeah. All right.
Helen! I'm saving it. I'm saving it until next week. End of next week. Lisa, you're with me? Okay, yay! Jamie, you read an article about the red scarf. I feel like I want to write a whole piece about Taylor and why. I think one of the things that resonates with me is, as somebody who works in a creative industry, there's something about the fact that she has decided to say, like, whoa, I wrote all those songs. I own all of that music, and I'm back. And I love that because across the board in creative energy or industries, like as whoever the artist is, you don't always have a lot of say in it. And the other thing I will say about this, and then we will actually move on to what we're going to talk about tonight, is that I think one of the things that resonates with me is the idea of her writing about heartbreak or, holding this heartbreak song 10 years later, still like she's working that out in her lyric. That happens all the time if men are playing music, right? And I think this translates sometimes to like cozy mysteries or romance or rom-coms. If it's something that predominantly women read, that oftentimes there's then this stigma around it. But why? Like there shouldn't be at all. So anything that brings you joy is a good thing in my opinion. So there you go. Come at me. You want to fight on Taylor? Swiftie forever.
Everybody pretty much loves Taylor in the comments. There was also a sound issue too, but I fixed it.
You fixed it. We got it. Okay.
Everybody's, yeah.
All right, but tonight, for real, we are going to talk about Bake, Borrow, and Steal, which is book 14. I cannot believe this. This is book 14. Oh, there it is. Look at that cover. It's book 14 of the Bakeshop Mysteries. This book is set in the fall in Ashland, and there are not going to be any spoilers tonight. There will not be any series spoilers. There won't be any real specifics about this book, obviously, because it's yet to come out. I was initially going to maybe read a section, but I realized anything that I read is going to be a spoiler because we're so far into the series now at book 14, and I don't want to do that because I know some of you are new to the series, and I totally love that. So we're going to talk more about my process and sort of the inspiration behind this book tonight. And I guess for starters, when I think about this particular book, more than any that I have ever written to date, I think the thing that really comes up for me is this was the main book that I wrote at the peak of the pandemic. And what's interesting about that is I had 2 books come out. So I gotta do math now. Chill to the Cone, right? And Mocha She Wrote, both came out in the pandemic, but I had written them pre-March of 2020. And so Bake, Borrow, and Steal was the first book that I was writing in the midst of, literally when everything shut down. And I was initially thinking, oh gosh, this is such like a shared experience. Maybe I've got to try to figure out some way to weave this in, but I didn't want to do that. And then, as you know, we've talked many times. I don't feel like I want to read about that in fiction. The reason that I read this style of book myself is because I want to escape and I want to come back to my friends in Ashland and these characters who feel very real. KJ, you're almost there. You're so close. But I thought it would be interesting to start with one of the very first videos that I shot. And this was probably the end of March, right as everything would shut down. Because in the series, if you're brand new to the series, they're all set here in Ashland, Oregon, where I really live. And I take, obviously, a fictional spin. I take real places and I tweak them and I change them and I embellish things. But the core of Ashland and what you see if you ever come and visit is there. Like you're going to be able to go see all of the places that have inspired this series. I talk a lot about the bustling of the plaza. Normally in late March and early April, Ashland just really comes alive again because that's when the Oregon Shakespeare Festival kicks off the new season. So tourists are coming in, the plaza is just alive with energy and color and noise and outside dining and shopping. And this is what it looked like when I was starting to sketch out this book. There aren't even cars on the street.
We're in the middle of the street.
We were literally walking in the middle of the street. This is downtown. This is looking up Siskiyou, like toward the library. there's nothing. I mean, it was so surreal. And then, yeah, places like this where you would normally have everything tended to, weeds overrunning. Those are the hills we always talk about. That's the Oregon Cabaret where Nothing But Trouble is set. This is kind of the heart of the plaza.
One car.
One car, I know. This is the center of the plaza that Jules looks out to. If she's, now we're almost gonna see Tort. And then of course, all of these family businesses and shops and restaurants. It is true that Ashland does not allow any chains or big box stores in the plaza or in town in general. And so, you know, just that sense of loss for all of the neighborhood communities and what was going on at the time. This seriously makes me like slightly teary again watching it. And also like knowing on the other side of things that we've come back through it in many ways, but some of these businesses and spots didn't make it either.
No, we're not here anymore.
And I do think as I was sketching out this book and thinking about what I wanted and almost needed in terms of my own writing experience was just to relive Ashland as it has always been in my books. And so I thought about I imagined all the things that Jules would be doing. You know, she would be delivering baskets of cookies and pastries all around town and helping out friends and neighbors and everything. And Tort would be immediately getting into, oh yeah, the parks, all the parks were closed. I'd forgotten that. I haven't watched this in almost 2 years. But I think one of the themes that resonated with me so much as this was all happening was how much nature and beauty was happening around us, even though everything else was shutting down and the world as we knew it, you know, had kind of collapsed. That it was amazing to be living in such a beautiful place and in such a place that immediately embraced community. And so that's really the spirit of this book. I feel like, I don't know, I know, right? Isn't it strange? It's so surreal. It's weird to look back on that. I definitely feel slightly teary, which I wasn't expecting. Should have prepared myself. I should have watched the whole thing, tech guy.
We have a happier video we'll share.
Yeah, we do have a happier video. No, and I mean, I think it's authentic. And I think, you know, if anything comes through in this book, in book 14, I'll be interested for your thoughts and feedback as always. But I think it's like a deep, deep love affair to Ashland. And that's probably why, I mean, obviously the entire series is always a love affair to Ashland, but I probably went way deep on that theme with this particular book because I was writing it in that particular moment in time and really still unsure that things were ever going to look different again too. I will say, do not worry. There is no reference to the pandemic whatsoever. We're not going to see Ashland looking at all like that. I'm just giving you my bird's eye view from a writer's perspective of what was going on in my world. But that is never happening. I should never say never. Maybe, I don't know, 50 books later, like 20 years down the road, at some point in time, Jules would look back and be like, well, you know, back when I was 33, there's no pandemic in the book. And I don't imagine that there ever will be. In my mind, what will happen is that will just never have been part of Jules' plot or storyline whatsoever. Rihanna, you just took a first plane ride since February. Yeah, that's got to be so strange. Yeah, it's so weird. It's also strange because, you know, so many of the publishing industry jobs are all still remote. And I've always worked remotely. So then there's this weird, strange sort of in between where I kind of was impacted in terms of my work, but not really. Anyway. Isn't it beautiful? I'm so glad you think so, Mel Mac. It's gorgeous. Come visit. And it is more alive now. But, you know, I think part of why I'm emotional too is that, you know, Ashland really is home to so many artistic people with not just the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, but everything that encompasses and the kind of people who are drawn to coming here, and all of those people took a big hit, and the theater is slowly coming back, but it's not the same, and it's going to be a recovery for a while. So on a happier note, though, I thought it would be interesting then we just saw kind of that spring shutdown. Oh, Amy, that's going to make me cry then too. Gosh, I don't know why
we're going to have to pause the live.
We're going to have to pause the live. And actually, I should really blame Taylor Swift. This is the 10-minute All Too Well. I've been singing it way too much, as if I am Taylor Swift and I cannot sing. I do feel like the gift of the pandemic for me has been that, because it brought, I feel like we're all book people, right? Like, we already know, I recognize a book person right away. I will probably stalk you and hug you. I'm not talking about my books. I'm just talking people who love books and the world of books. And so I think the pandemic was an opportunity for us to connect in a different way. That maybe, it would have been like, oh, you go to a signing of an author in Michigan, and then, there's another group in Karen, in Texas or North Carolina or in the South, but this really gave us the opportunity to mesh together and to find our people in our space here. So that is definitely a pro for sure. Okay, but in happier times, which is, this book is really happy too. I should not be so teary, but I wanted to give you a view of, yes, right, Lenny, me too. Yeah. I know. If I see you toting a book around, you probably should run the other way, because I'm definitely what are you reading? Can you tell me about that book? We just, the last week or two, while we've been out for our neighborhood walks, the tech guy and I have been shooting footage of the fall, which is where this book is set. Bake, Borrow, and Steal. Bake, Borrow, and Steal is set in mid-November. The theme is going to be, well, I'll talk about that in a minute, but really my inspiration as we were moving through the pandemic was fall, and just how beautiful Ashland is in the autumn, and you just got to see it in the spring. So this one I won't really talk through so much, but we'll just listen, because the tech guy found something special to accompany this. I think you'll recognize it. Always the deer.
Yesterday there was sun and there was rain.
Does that voice sound familiar?
And as the light
Come on, how beautiful is this? This is neighborhood views too. And again, always the deer.
And another deer.
You can't really walk anywhere without running into deer.
That's just like the cover of the book.
That's like the money shot right there.
and a sparkly shimmer on her skin.
That gives you the sweep of the hills. Neighborhoods, which we don't always, I haven't showed a lot of, but the neighborhoods are gorgeous too. And hey, there are people in the park.
Turkeys.
Oh, turkeys! You got a turkey. We always have turkeys in our yard. There were a gaggle of turkeys this morning. Yeah, I don't really have to stretch my imagination, as I've said 1,000 times. Oh, Suyin, there you go, right? You need to come paint it. I will take you on a personal tour, and I will just enjoy being in your presence, because you're such an amazing artist. I love it. And it's so meditative to watch your paint. Yeah, Chris, aren't the colors gorgeous? I love it so much. So think this is the setting for Bake, Borrow, and Steal. It is lush fall, all of those colors. When Jules is walking back and forth from Tort to Southern Oregon University, which is where this book is set. Why are you cracking up?
KJ, that's awesome.
In Texas, we have summer and not summer. That's awesome. Yeah, it's cold today. It's 30 today, so when Jules is walking to Southern Oregon University, where this book is set, that's sort of her view. She's walking through these old historic neighborhoods, and you're seeing the trees and all of downtown alive. It's so great. So I wanted to give you just sort of an overview of the campus, because we have not we've not been to campus really. Jules has referenced Southern Oregon University, which is really a place. Ashland does have a university here in town, and it's beautiful, and as I'm sure you can imagine, a lush campus. When we have the launch party, I'm working on a whole video series that I will share then, and some slides and everything. But I thought it, I just joked. I thought it would be fun to just give you a little glimpse into what's going to happen in Bake, Borrow, and Steal. This is the background that you see there is the Schneider Art Museum, which is my inspiration for this book, but I called it SOMA, the Southern Oregon Museum of Art. I don't know why I do that. Sometimes I decide to call something what it really is, and then other times I don't, like Oregon Shakespeare Festival really is the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. Although there's a rumor that they might be changing the name of it, so we'll see. Anna Louise, we're having a true fall in North Carolina for the first time since you moved here 6 years ago. Oh, that's so awesome. I could gush forever, but fall is 100% my favorite season. No doubt about it. I love everything about fall. I love the switch to like cozy, and now it's warm coffee and blankets and everything. Michelle, right? Andy is making mocha chai lattes, all of those things. Think all of like the warming spices. November, in terms of the seasonality of Ashland, is slower. So normally, and because we're just living in Jules' fictional world, there is no pandemic, so it's already happening. OSF goes dark at the beginning of November, so the theater shuts down for 3 months and then reopens in the early spring, late February. Mid-February is when previews start usually. And so, I got to get to that part, sorry.
Oh,
no, that's good. No, you're good. So with this book, Tort is kind of inching into that season. What is so fun about having a space where there's a whole conglomerate of tourists who come in for the spring, summer, and early fall months is that then it's like from November until early February, locals kind of reclaim the town. So at the peak of summer, you would not try to go get a table at a restaurant anywhere at 6:30 or 7 o'clock because all the shows start at 8, so they'll be packed. So maybe you're eating later, like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. But come November, everything kind of slows down. And so that's kind of the tone of this book a little bit too. The bake shop is still busy with regulars and local orders and prepping for like all of their holiday deliciousness, but they have a little more time on their hands. So for this book, the concept is that they have been asked to cater a gala at SOMA, at this Museum of Art that we see here. And that's kind of the premise of everything that's going to happen. What I love about this particular shot of the museum is it is all glass, and what you see reflected there are the hills that I always talk about in the series when Jules is like, oh, you know, I see the beautiful sepia tone hills. That's what you're seeing, because if you're standing at the front door of the museum, you're looking out to the east that way. So it's just so beautiful. Lenny, I grew up in a lake town, loved it when the Lakers went home, right? Yeah, there's something about, like, I love both energies of it because it feels like there's this whole revitalization and it's always fun. You can spot tourists. We always play a game, like, because all of the tourists cross the street horribly. The deer trot along in the crosswalk, the tourists are all over the place. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
At the same time, there would be no town without the tourists.
Right.
So.
And I think that's why I'm still sort of like emotional about
Yeah.
thinking about sort of the impact of the town. Yes.
Definitely.
It's 81 degrees. Janina, holy smokes. Yeah, not here. No, not so much.
Slightly warmer than it was here today.
Anyway, so Jules and the team, in addition to making all the early, like they're prepping for Thanksgiving pies and they're making spicy chai lattes and anything with cardamom and cloves and cinnamon and all those beautiful lush spices. And then on top of that, they've been asked to cater this huge gala, which we will get to in a second. It's all set at fall, but sometimes, in fact, a few years ago, I should have pulled out a picture of this. Pre-Thanksgiving, we will get a snow.
That's my cue. Got it.
Da-da-da-da.
Yeah, I missed it before.
In fact, a few years ago, we were set to go up to Portland for Thanksgiving, and we had to delay it.
Thanksgiving, we had to do Thanksgiving on Friday because it snowed on Wednesday.
On Wednesday before,
Yeah.
And like it snowed a lot.
Like a blizzard.
Yeah.
I mean, there was zero visibility in the passes.
The freeway shut down the whole thing. And so this is a spoiler, but it's not really a spoiler. It's just a teaser that only our select group will get to know, is that there might be an early snow involved, because I thought that would be fun. We have a touch of fall, and we've also got a little bit of winter, which should be fun because this book comes out at the end of December. So we've got a little touch of each. Paula, every tourist, I lost it. It went too fast. Sorry. Every tourist town has street crossings. Yes, right? It's always that. Like, use the crosswalk. What are you doing? Sue, you grew up in a college town, and there was a huge difference between the school year and summer. Yeah, I'm sure it's very similar. I love that rhythm. But it's also really fun to be like, ooh, we're reclaiming the town again. It's all ours.
All the Texans are connecting.
Let's go, Texas. You're all hot. And meanwhile, we're freezing here in the Northwest. So there's going to be so much more to come in terms of giving you a real look on campus, because, of course, the campus is gorgeous, too. And lots more detail about the book. But that's my very brief introduction to SOU for you. And then in terms of the inspiration for this book, I was in the middle of lockdown, like we all were. We were all shuttering ourselves in our houses, and we were getting out for like lots of walks and hikes and saying hi to our neighbors from afar. And I was doing a lot of just random reading. I couldn't, at that point in time, I've gone through a few cycles, and I think we've talked about this too, of having real reader's block, where I couldn't concentrate for long stretches of time on like a full book, which was a rarity for me. But I was reading a lot of like short articles, and I stumbled across a few articles about Shakespeare that sent me down a rabbit hole. And now when I'm teaching mystery writing now, which I love more than words can even say, I talk a lot about like try not to go down a rabbit hole of research. And I speak from experience, because sometimes if the mood hits me right, I will go deep, deep, deep down a path that is completely unnecessary, and then retain all of these facts and tidbits that I know are never going to work their way into a book that is titled Bake, Borrow, and Steal. Like, at some point, could I maybe write a dissertation on Shakespeare? Probably. Do I want to? No, not at all. But I was in one of those moments because, again, I was starting to sketch this book out in probably like April or May, and then I worked on it all summer and into the fall. And I discovered that there is a long lost manuscript called Double Falsehood, which many attribute, it's a play, many attribute to Shakespeare. They think that there's this possibility that he is actually the person who penned it. Yeah, sure, yeah, okay. There it is, Double Falsehood, the Distress of Lovers, a play, which I have not seen, but this is the path that it took me. And so, and I can't even remember. I was trying to think today when I was prepping for this live, like, how did I start down this path? I have no idea, but nonetheless, it's all the better, because what came to me was that this play has been discovered, it's been unearthed, and Ashland is going to be the world premiere unveiling of Double Falsehood. And, that's not so out of the realm of possibilities because of the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. So the world premiere unveiling of this long-lost Shakespearean manuscript is going to be happening at SOMA. And the museum is going to transform itself. We are going to feel like we are stepping back into the 1500s. Not a detail can be spared. And that is how Jules and the gang get involved. Oh, sorry. Are there... I thought you were waving at a comment. No. Okay. That's how Jules and the gang get involved. So they are going to be making an authentic Elizabethan feast. So there's, of course, going to be a curator who may have very strong visions of where this gala and event is supposed to go in terms of direction, and wanting Jules to look through old original Shakespearean cookbooks and try to bake according to the style that would have happened. Yes, Michelle, Lance is definitely going to be dressing everyone, and there will be costumes involved, the ruffs, the whole thing. Not to worry. It's a to-do. It's a gala. Jules needs a ball gown. Obviously it's the biggest event on the West Coast, and it's a bit of a coup because Jules and Ashland have landed this thanks to Oregon Shakespeare Festival over, LA or Seattle or some other big market. So the team, in addition to all of their delicious fall baking, is making an authentic Shakespearean feast, which they will serve. That will include frangipane tarts and chestnut cream custards and lardy cakes. I also, as you can probably tell, did a deep dive on recipes like that, none of which actually make the final cut. All of Jules' modern cooking is what you're going to find in the back for recipes. But in addition to that, they are also then tasked with making chocolate Shakespearean showpieces. Is anyone, I know you are, Great British Bake Off fans? We're talking, showstoppers. Constructing out of chocolate Shakespeare's original desk, a replica of the Elizabethan. Yeah, go for it. So this is a chocolatier whom does this level of work with chocolate. Can you believe that? Shakespeare in chocolate. What I learned in this research and this rabbit hole is that, you always hear about tempering chocolate. And for me, if I'm making a ganache, I'm usually just like maybe heating up some cream and melting my chocolate in it. Well, if you're doing this level of chocolate work, it's a totally different ballgame, right? And there's special chocolate you need to use. I don't know if we have any chocolatiers or bakers on here, but you might know. Anyway, I think it's funny because you always hear that term tempering. And what I learned is I think that's because chocolate is so temperamental. It has a temper of its own. And so the early part of the book, and this isn't giving anything away either, is Jules and Steph in particular really struggling to figure out how they're going to pull this off because, we're talking very intricate details all in chocolate. You had me at chocolate, right?
Isn't this the one where the copy editor questioned the chocolate?
Oh, yes. I went through copy edits a few months ago, and I think we've talked about copy edits. We could have a whole live if you want. Maybe we'll do that in January, just on the process of copy editing. But one of the copy editor's job is, to pick out any, yes, Jules would totally get the Hollywood handshake, Beth, 100%. I wish, Paula, I should have thought about that. I think there's a Paul Hollywood reference. I do think that I put an Easter egg of Paul Hollywood in there. I'm pretty sure. It might have been in Donut Disturb, though, so don't kill me if I'm wrong on that. Yes, the copy editor wanted to make clear that technically this level of chocolate art would not have been authentic to Shakespeare's time. So I had to think about whether that mattered. And then I reminded myself yeah, so Jules is a pastry chef who's on the crime scene. I think we're good. Yeah, so that in a nutshell is kind of the theme of the book. Like I said, I don't want to give much more away because I want you all to read it, of course, if you're so inclined. And I don't want to give away any spoilers. But what is so exciting for me is in the fact that we are up to book 14, there's so much more character development that I've been able to do. And really, I just have to say, I'm so grateful for being in a space during the pandemic where I just got to spend a lot of time in this world for my own mental health and sanity and well-being. I just felt like it was such a gift to be able to escape and be back in the world of Andy and Lance and Jules, who I hope you love as much as I do. And I hope when you read this book that you get to be transported too. Yes.
That actually answers a question that was asked earlier.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's perfect, Cherry. Yeah, I think that's how it affected my writing. I'll be super interested to hear from everyone once you read it. Like, was it too much gushing? Did you feel a difference? I feel like I was so effusive about how wonderful Ashland is. Not that I'm ever not that way, but I feel like, and I'm not sure if I have enough distance from it to be able to know, but if anything, I feel like I probably swayed the other way. There were probably more descriptions of everything this time around. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm looking so forward to sharing it because it's an escape for me to write it. And my wish and hope is always that if you read one of my books, that you are able to do the same thing. Oh, yay, Paula. Thank you so much. That means the world. That's the only reason that I write them, honestly. Paula wants to know, do you read your own books once they are actually published? Not very often, Paula. No, it's really hard to go back, I think. I have friends who do. I don't love that process. I've never listened to them on audio. Like, I've listened to snippets on audio. If I'm doing an event where I have to read, I might read a chapter. But I'm my own worst critic, and it's something that I'm still personally working on to try to let that go. But I think I still am reading with like more of an editorial lens. Although I will say, in the publishing process, what's interesting, I think, is I'll send a book off. I'll have edited it a number of times myself, and then had early readers and the tech guy and my dad and whoever else is touching it. And I've touched it a lot by that point. I usually get to some stage where I'm like, I don't care. It just has to go. I can't look at this again. It is what it is. And then, it will go through the editorial process at the publishing house and copy edits. And then the very last thing that happens are page proofs. And those happen shortly before the book is published. So I won't have seen the book for months and months and months and months. And that's always really interesting because I'll go back through page proofs, and this is where you're looking at like typesetting issues. You could in theory change anything that you catch, but like they're really hoping that you're not finding many errors or anything like that when the book is already at page proofs, because the typesetting is its own thing, right? But it's always interesting because when I get to that part of the process, I'll go back through and I'll be like, oh, that's right, I forgot this. Oh, we're back here, and oh, there's Lance. And so that always brings me like a little hit of joy. So in that way, I guess, yes. Gretchen, I'm gifting Meet Your Baker to many friends for Christmas this year. Aw, thank you so much. I love the fact that you're sharing books, and they don't even have to be mine. Books make the best Christmas, Hanukkah, every holiday present in my mind. On that note, if you are interested in getting a copy of Bake, Borrow, and Steal, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you pre-order a copy from your favorite local bookstore or whatever bookseller you prefer now, like soon. I know that it probably sounds like lip service where you're like, oh, you just want to sell more books. Of course, I always want to sell books, but I mean, that is the reality. This is how I make my living. But the supply chain issues are real. And so
it's messed up, guys.
Yeah, it is bad. And so what's going to happen is whatever stock they get in of Bake, Borrow, and Steal is probably going to be it for, it could be like months before they do a reprint. Normally, if, a publisher ships out an initial run of, let's say, 5 or 10,000 books, whatever it is, 20,000, you name it, those all, get disseminated out everywhere, and bookstores sell them. And then if a book needs to go into a second or third printing, usually that happens pretty quickly, within a few weeks. But this time around, because of all of the backlogs and delays, those reprints are going to take months. I heard this last week that they could take like upwards of 6 months. You can always like request it at your local library. That's a great help for me as an author, because libraries buy a lot of books and they'll have copies then. So yes, please pre-order. And whatever books are on your holiday list, whatever other holiday reads you're looking for or gifts you're going to give, order now, pre-order, or just order. If there's already a book that's out that you're interested in, I'm looking over at my bookshelf because I have a stockpile of reads that I already have planned as gifts. I want to share one of them because I love it so much, but she might be watching.
Yes, Jamie. Yeah. However you buy ebooks are great too. That doesn't really matter from the author end of things. Like it's all the same. But if you want a hard copy of a book, if you want a tangible, not hardcover, if you want a print book,
Karen's onto something though, because e-readers are ebook readers are
they're like whatever
supply chain issues.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, pre-order or order because we're looking at some big delays, and then it's going to trickle down. Like libraries are going to have delays getting stuff too. So it's all a process. We're still in like the recovery mode, right? So it's all good. But that's just my PSA every time. Oh yeah, Anna Louise is a librarian. So yeah, you're looking at 2 months of delays at least. Is that for new titles or just everything that's coming in too? I've heard from a few librarian friends here that they've even had stock arrive of titles that, were released within the last month or so, but they're not making it physically to the libraries because of shipping stuff. And then it's also like the process of getting those bookshelves and everything. Oh yeah, so sad, everything. Yeah, I know. So that's my PSA. Get your holiday book shopping done early. I really want to, no, I can't, because what if whomever I'm gifting this to is on the live and they'll know because they read, there's an author who I love. I'll talk about this. I'm whispering like that's going to do anything. I'll share this again. But there's an author who I loved who has a new book out, and I bought like every copy I could. I was up at Vintage Books and I saw them. I didn't know they were already out, and I was like, oh, I need this book. And then I was like, I need all of them. Can I buy all of them? And then I was like, oh, I feel bad. I don't want to buy all of them, but I'm giving this to everyone. So yeah, that's kind of where my headspace is for sure. Let's see. In terms of what's next, Lillian.
Oh, it's done.
It's toast. So sad. I should also not be allowed to drink. I've learned that drinking water with a straw, especially on a live or anywhere that I have to talk or really just, here at my desk writing, this is bad for me. I just have a tendency to spill all the time. The pineapple cup was very durable. It lasted the longest of any glass I've ever had. And it wasn't glass. It was like that nice, hard, durable plastic. But I would say I probably dropped it 25 times, and just 2 weeks ago, last week maybe, it shattered. I had it here on my desk and I was like, why is my desk, why are all the papers wet around? Yeah, so I told the tech guy that's what I want for Christmas. It doesn't have to be pineapple, but something. I know. It's a sad day. No.
It's gone.
As I take a drink and I get ready to spill that on myself. All right.
I usually buy two.
That's true.
When I do get you cups, because
there's probably going to be a shortage on straw cups too. Get on that, tech guy.
Okay.
You're shopping now. You know what I want. That's all I want.
Oh yeah. All right. Everybody heard that here. That's
right.
All she wants.
Actually, I did tell the tech guy and Sky Guy that the only thing that I want for Christmas, or really any Christmas, is just a private concert here at our house, which if they can make this happen, you are all invited, with Taylor Swift. I mean, that seems totally manageable and doable to me. So
sure.
Done. No problem. Another cup bites the dust. Yes, exactly. Okay, so next week we are going to do some fun trivia. I sense pineapple cups coming to the Etsy shop. That's right. Can you make a cup? Next week we're going to do some fun trivia. So for anyone who's around, if not, if you're traveling and together with your family, soak up that time. And then our last official live of the year is going to be November 30th. We're going to do a special Giving Tuesday event and a preview of a fun Sunday supper. We have been working on, this time it's Murder Season 2. That is coming in December. There's going to be a special holiday edition, and then we are going to work in December on starting to plot out our own. So that should be fun. And maybe we're going to have a bonus, like Bake Off, we're thinking. Plus, then there's going to be lots and lots of fun giveaways and launch stuff in store for Bake, Borrow, and Steal that I'm going to get to share with you soon. So I can't wait. Oh, and I believe that there's a Goodreads giveaway coming from my publisher too. So I think it's next week. I'll look up the date and make sure I share it here. Paula Tech, I got a Star Wars question right on Jeopardy. Yay! Good job.
Excellent.
Yeah. You approve. Oh, do you have some sort of a sound effect for that?
Yeah, there we go.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure Taylor's watching. Totally, obviously. Taylor's like, that's where I want to be. She should. I mean, come on. Cats, books, baking, like it all lines up, really.
Well, we should ask what would everyone think if when the Bakeshop Mysteries are made into TV movies, would Taylor make a good Jules?
Taylor would make a perfect Jules. I'd be curious. Yes. What do you all think? But I say yes. I say 100% yes.
I mean, it would be a nice foray into acting for her, I would imagine.
Yeah. Oh, she's already done acting.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
She's been in movies. Oh. She's got the All Too Well. So yeah, she's on it. Don't worry. Anyway, as always, it's such a joy to get to spend Tuesdays with you. I love you all so much. Thanks for letting me be a little weepy unexpectedly tonight. And in the meantime, enjoy all of the cozy fall vibes except for our Texas crew. I don't know. Go get a pineapple cup. Right, Suyin? Let's get it done. How do we will this into the universe? If we make this happen, each and every one of you, like I will personally find a way to like fly us all out to the premiere. I will go door to door and fundraise for that myself. Anyway, it's such a delight as always to spend the night with you, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Happy